All right. Welcome, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Yeah, let's do it.
Today, we're going to be looking at something that I think a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah.
It's about how sometimes when you're feeling really stuck, that's when you end up making the most surprising connections.
Interesting.
We'll be taking a look at this blog post by Tony Feghali. He's a business coach.
Okay.
It's called The Saudi Uber Driver.
Sounds fascinating.
Yeah. And I think it really highlights how even in simple interactions, we can find these profound moments of connection and shared humanity.
I like that.
Yeah. So the story actually takes place during Ramadan.
Okay.
And Ramadan is the Islamic holy month of fasting.
Right.
And Tony, he kind of sets the scene in the beginning.
Okay.
He's just finished up a meeting. The sun is setting. And it's almost time for iftar, which is the breaking of the fast.
Got it.
And he is desperate for a ride.
Oh, I've been there.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's finding it really hard to get a taxi or an Uber.
Especially during rush hour.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
Happens to the best of us.
So I think this is something we can all relate to, right? Like that feeling of being stuck,
Absolutely.
needing to get somewhere,
Yeah.
and just hitting roadblock after roadblock.
Yeah. And sometimes those moments lead to the most unexpected encounters.
Exactly. And that's what happens to Tony. He finally manages to get an Uber,
Okay.
and his driver is Abdul Rahman.
Abdurrahman.
Yeah, and Abdul Rahman shows up, and he immediately offers Tony water and dates,
Wow.
which I thought was really interesting, right?
Especially because he himself is fasting.
Yeah, exactly. He's fasting.
So that's a really powerful gesture,
Yeah.
It's like putting someone else's needs before your own, even when you're, experiencing those pangs of hunger yourself.
Yeah, and it really speaks to Abdul Rahman's character.
Absolutely.
Like his generosity and his hospitality, even while he's observing Ramadan.
It's a beautiful example of just like human kindness transcending any sort of cultural or religious differences.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Like in that moment, they're just two people connecting on a human level.
yeah, and Tony, he describes these dates in such vivid detail.
Oh, yeah.
He calls them semi-sweet, soft, aromatic, unpretentious, filling, melt in your mouth, and even heavenly.
Wow, he really paints a picture.
I know.
You can almost taste them.
Yeah. And he actually jokes that refusing them would be like, turning down a farmer's fresh fruit or a grandmother's home cooking.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah. It emphasizes how sometimes the simplest things can bring us so much joy.
It's true.
And I think sometimes we get so caught up in, the hustle and bustle of everyday life
Yeah.
that we forget to appreciate those little moments.
It's like we're always looking for the next big thing,
Yeah.
We miss the beauty of what's right in front of us.
And I think it's really interesting because Tony reflects on why this seemingly small interaction had such a big impact on him.
Yeah, I'm curious.
And he points to a few things. The act of sharing, the connection between two strangers from different backgrounds,
Yeah.
and also the symbolism of a follower of Jesus and a follower of Muhammad breaking bread, or in this case, dates, together.
Yeah.
And that kind of reminds me of this idea that, we don't have to wait for some grand event or some huge project to experience something profound.
Right. It's those everyday moments
Yeah.
that can have the biggest impact.
Yeah, and Tony's experience really drives that point home.
Yeah. And I think it's a reminder that building bridges, even in small ways, it's so important.
Absolutely.
Like just acknowledging someone's presence, offering a helping hand. It can go a long way.
Yeah, it's really about recognizing our shared humanity.
Exactly. And I think in today's world, that's more important than ever.
So as we wrap up our deep dive today, I want to leave you with a thought. How can you, like Abdul Rahman, extend those small gestures of generosity in your own interactions? And how can you, like Tony, be open to receiving them, even when you're facing challenges?
It's something to think about.
It is. All right, that's it for today's deep dive.
Until next time.
See you then.